Welcome to the Tenet Podcast. I'm Todd Pearson, here with my friend, partner, and three-time Olympic badminton champion, co-host extraordinaire, Wes Brown.
Hey, Todd. Yeah, not too many people know that I used to play badminton. Actually, for an up-and-coming team out of the Ukraine. So I, kind of like Becky Ham. I think it was Becky Ham that played basketball for the Ukraine. I actually played badminton for the Ukraine. We didn't make it to the top, but we gave it a good try. And if you people listening believe that,
I was just going to ask.
No, I did not play I played badminton, but not professionally and not for the Ukrainian team. But it sounds good.
I was on the Eastern Bloc German team.
But I do believe Becky Ham, who's from Rapid City, who now coaches, I think she did go play for either the Ukraine or the Russian team. I can't remember. Maybe it was the Russians. But anyway, because she wanted to play. I think there was a boycott or something going on. I don't remember what. Fact check me, though. Fact check me. I may even delete this. I don't know.
Badminton's a great game. It's like the perfect drinking sport.
And it's fast. If you ever watch the Olympics, it's fast.
And that pickle's a pretty good one to play when you're drinking too.
Oh, I haven't played. Yeah, that's big in Florida.
Yeah. And apparently the Ukraine, I don't know.
In the Ukraine. I hope our listenership goes up now that we mentioned the Ukraine about 6 times.
Yeah. You guys should be getting, some money back from them for sponsorship.
That's right. Us and Hunter Biden.
If you're
oh, terrible.
Oh, man.
Terrible.
Oh.
So anyway. Wes, you took a road trip yesterday.
I did.
Billings, Montana.
That's right. I went to Billings, Montana, to the Yellowstone Art Museum of Contemporary Art, and they had a new exhibit called New Beginnings, an American Story of Romantics and Modernists in the West, from the TIA collection out of Santa Fe. The exhibit focused on Taos area artists who began experimenting with interpreting the West through modern lenses at the turn of the 20th century. So these artists pushed the boundaries and adapted new ways of thinking and seeing, and found their own vision in the place of modern day modernists. Modern day modernists? That's kind of
modern day modernists.
Something like that.
Kind of sounds redundant, but yeah, we'll roll with it.
But anyway, it was a really good show. I had a ton of different artists, not a lot of pieces from any specific artists, a lot of solo pieces, but man, just kind of the gamut, and beautiful, from kind of expressionistic to more, and a lot of landscape kind of stuff. It was really well put together. I really enjoyed it.
I was going to ask, was there an overriding theme, like a Western theme, or was it just anything goes?
Yeah, it was I think it was more of just focusing on those Taos artists at the time, at the turn of the 20th century. And they just, the TIA collection that teamed up with the Yellowstone Art, and it's called YAM, Yellowstone Art Museum. So I love that. It's kind of like Damn, but YAM.
Right.
But yeah, it's so we drove down there like 5.5 hours. So it was a full day trip. It was a 1-day trip there and back, seeing the art museum, and had some lunch, and kind of moseyed around and came back. But yeah, it was a beautiful day for it.
Who did you like of that show?
Oh, see,
any particular artist? Well, I have to ask you that question.
Well, yeah. So let me. So
otherwise, I don't even know if you really went. You might have just made up this story.
Oh, okay.
So driving 5.5 hours.
Well, after the badminton story, I mean, anything goes, right?
That's it.
Our integrity's out the door with a badminton story. Todd started that one, so there we go. My favorite piece was Fremont Ellis had a piece in there called the Passing Storm, and it's a beautiful piece. It's an oil painting, pretty big, not gigantic or anything. And then there was an Edward Weston photograph in there, of course, and Peter Moran. So those were kind of my highlights. Of course, you know how I feel about Edward Weston.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the artists I never heard of, and I took pictures of a lot of the ones that I liked, so I could go back and kind of do a little bit deeper dive, but I haven't done that yet. So, but
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I'm glad we went, and kind of getting geared up to come to Denver here in a couple weeks, hopefully.
Yeah, right on, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
So speaking of Denver and coming up, we need to take a moment and acknowledge our media sponsor, New Magazine. That's NUE. New recently put out the winter issue of New Denver, and you can find the link to the issue on the Tenant Facebook page, along with the link to their new 2021 arts issue. Or if you are on Instagram, you can follow the new national edition at new_magazine and the Denver edition at new_Denver_magazine. And if you've been listening to us, you know that coming up here in a couple weeks, New Denver is putting on Weekend of the Arts. This event will be happening the evening of Friday, April 23rd through Sunday the 25th at the historic Zhang Building on Platt Street in Denver, and will be home to the New Space Pop-Up Gallery. And I know that they're planning a fashion show. There's different speakers. We've talked to a couple people that will be speaking there. As we have more details, we'll definitely get those out to you either via the podcast or our Facebook tenant page. All right.
Good job, Todd.
Well, thank you. That was a mouthful, right?
It was.
I might need some oxygen. Our guest this week is a magnificent artist. He's been on here before. He's the owner of Bitfactory Gallery and Studios, and someone that's been a really great friend and a huge supporter of the Tenant Podcast. Welcome back to the podcast, W. Max Thomason, a.k.a. Bill Thomason. How you doing, man?
I'm very well. Very good. Very good.
Last time we talked to you was almost a year ago. It was like mid-May last year. And right as the pandemic was kind of starting, we were kind of in lockdown.
Yeah, we were in the middle of lockdown, right? Yeah.
We didn't really know what was in store for us. But you've kept plugging along.
I have. Obviously I did the shutdown with that like everybody else did last year. And then I opened back up at the third Friday of July. And I've been open ever since.
And it kind of screwed up your schedule a little bit, right? As far as last year.
Yeah, it put me, I like to stay booked about 12 to 14 months out. And I'm working on 2023 right now because 2020 screwed up everything so bad.
So everything's kind of just been pushed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Can you just push everything out, or did some things just go away?
Well, some things just went away, and it's not really just, push it out. It was a lot of artists not wanting to show last year at all, which I can't blame them at all. Yeah. Nobody knew what was going to happen, right? But they can't, you can't just say, okay, you had May of 2020, so let's do May of 2022 now. I kept most of it. It's just rearranging the hell out of it,
Sure. So puzzle pieces, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. And it also kind of opened me up to be able to do a call for entry show this year, which was not even on the schedule at all. And then because everything got rearranged so bad, I had a month open. So I just decided to do a call for entries, and I wanted to do it based on or focused on art that was created during the pandemic and how it's either changed the artist process or changed their outlook on their work. And I got in touch with my professor from college, and she's going to be the juror.
And this is the professor that you took multiple painting classes?
Yes. Amy Metier.
Okay. I thought that was probably who it was.
Yeah,
so she's going to be one of the jurors.
She is the juror.
She is the juror. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there's multiple or okay, cool. Right on.
Are you going to have a show with those pieces in it? Is that happened, or is it coming up?
No. So that's going to be, oh my God, I just drew a blank on the dates. It's like August, September.
Okay.
The call's already out there on cafecallforentries.org. And she's already set up as a juror and everything. So, and I think I've already got like 15 entries so far.
That's great.
Fantastic.
It's 3 images per entry, or up to 3 images per entry.
Okay. Right on.
That seems like a lot of pieces already.
Well, she'll distill it down and go through it.
Oh.
And like with the last one I did, Lee Laviere was the juror. And I think there was only 2 artists she picked multiple pieces from. Everybody else she just picked one from. And that's usually the way it goes. Okay.
So then the ones that that Amy picks will be hung in the gallery?
That's correct.
Okay, good.
And of course online as well.
Okay, great. Oh, looking forward to that. That'll be fun to see.
Yeah, it should be really good.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to work with her again. We traded emails a bit. It was still a few months ago, so everybody was still kind of staying home. And we're working around. She's got a residency in Ireland this summer, and we're trying to work around that. So she's still plugging away at it, which is great to hear.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell her enough how much she influenced me and got me into this and kept me going all these years,
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was cool. It was good to finally touch base with her again after all these years,
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, because we had a whole conversation about her in the previous episode we did with you.
We did.
That's awesome. So I don't want to rehash things that we talked about last time when we had you on last May, but I do want you to go back and kind of give us, our listeners who might be tuning in for the very first time, a little idea of what Bitfactory Gallery and Studios is all about as far as what you do and what you specialize in and kind of what your business model is.
Okay. So I built Bitfactory, the gallery primarily as a gallery to work with emerging and up and coming artists, because I remember how hard it was for me to get exhibitions in an accredited gallery right out of college. While I was in college, it wasn't that hard to get into a show because there's a lot of student shows. People wanted to work with students who are attached to a university, and especially with Amy Métier's program. Her name had a lot of clout around town at that time. I'm sure it still does. But as soon as I got out of college, nobody wanted to touch me. So when I put Bitfactory together, that was primarily the objective, was to work with the emerging and up and coming artists. And then after a couple of years of doing that, then I started also adding to the rotation. I shouldn't say after. The other side of that was I wanted to work with at least one major and established artist every year. I worked with Gary Wallace. He's a famous fashion photographer. I've worked with Iris Sherman, who's a fantastic sculptor. I'm working with Tadashi Hayakawa. I was supposed to work with him last fall, but of course that fell through. So we're doing it this fall for his final solo exhibition. He's kind of retiring from the art world. He'll be 80 years old at this point. And then I've also built the studios because I really missed that environment we had in college, where we had, you constantly had people, other creatives around you creating all the time. And if you got stuck or just needed to breathe for a minute or needed some critique or something on your piece, there was all these people around you all the time that you could sit down and do that with. And was the idea behind the studios, and I have to admit it also helps you pay the bills. The art market is extremely fickle and it changes from month to month to month. So, and I'm not selling, I don't work with artists who sell $100,000 pieces every month. So when the gallery's running lean, I've got the studios who are helping me keep the lights on, and I wanted somewhere where I could at least show once a year. But I didn't want to be that guy who has his stuff in the gallery all the time. That I don't mean to disrespect anybody that does that. I just didn't feel that was the right course for myself,
Yeah.
So the studios, has that played a really important part during this pandemic as far as, keeping the lights on and paying the bills this last year? Yeah,
I honestly, if I didn't have the studios attached to this gallery, I probably would have lost the building during the shutdown. I got super lucky. So the rest of my family is extremely talented financially. They understand finance inside and out, especially my little brother. He's just fantastic with it. So he helped me work it out to where I paid down my building and got my mortgage way down right before the pandemic hit. So I cut my mortgage by over half, which during the pandemic, if I didn't have the studios, I might have made it. It's really questionable, but if I had that mortgage I had prior to the pandemic, there would have been no way in hell,
Wow.
It was, commercial mortgages are not cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's a prime piece of real estate that you have
now. Yeah. Now, I got in right before the bubble took off in 2014. So, everything's going for just outrageous amounts down there per square foot. So now I've got a retirement plan.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's real.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. In this past year, have you seen places disappear down there in the art district? Have many places been hit very hard, do you think?
I only know of one gallery that closed permanently, and that was May Wynn's gallery. I know that for sure that she closed down. There's another one that I think closed down, but I haven't had a chance to go by there to see if they have. But other than that, everybody stayed. And in fact, some people moved in.
Wow.
We lost some other businesses down there, but they weren't galleries or studios. They were like architectural firm moved out. I don't know if they went out of business or they just moved out. I just noticed that the other day. And there's been a couple restaurants changed hands, but they're still restaurants, that kind of thing.
So beyond the fact that people weren't coming in and you weren't able to have your regular schedule, how else did the pandemic affect you? Any other ways?
Oh, yeah. I got off my butt and got an online store going for the gallery. Honestly, I hadn't given it much thought prior to the pandemic. And then once we were in the pandemic, and I was still selling my own pieces on some other sites, my own site and in Saatchi, it's a gallery out of London. I figured I might as well just jump in that pool and try it out and see how it went. And it's actually done all right for me, especially with this most recent exhibition.
Right on. So it's definitely been advantageous and then getting you to kind of think outside the box in different ways that you might normally not have explored if things were in a normal situation. Right.
Well, and you got to start looking at other avenues to hustle, right? You've got to figure out how am I going to make the money to keep the lights on? So granted, in hindsight, an online store sounds pretty intuitive, and why the hell wouldn't you do that right away from the get-go? But leading up to it, it had never crossed my mind just because all of my traffic was in store. And honestly, I've never bought art online myself, and I never saw it. To me, it just seemed like too much time and investment for little return. But I think the pandemic might have changed all that. I think the online art market has really increased because of the pandemic. And people are okay with looking at a photo, which to me, a photo of a painting really flattens it out and you can't really get the depth and detail. But apparently the general public doesn't seem to mind that. Everybody at Spot Online has never complained back to me about, well, this looks so much different from the photo, So.
And you're selling originals and prints, or just originals, or how's that working?
Yeah, so I'm selling prints and originals, and for A.L. Lummis, I'm selling lunch boxes.
Yeah, I was just looking at those. Yeah. You can get issue number 35 lunchbox for $45. That's a smoking deal.
It is. It's very, very cool. It's very original, an original idea.
Yeah.
She made 5 for the exhibition, and we've sold 2 or 3 of them so far.
Yeah. No, I think that's brilliant. I love it. Obviously I haven't been able to make it down there for the show, but her stuff is amazing. I love Amy's stuff. It's just,
I got to tell you guys, I think we kind of touched on this last interview too. But when I have been working with artists for a while, and also they start getting some traction or start taking off a little bit, it's just an amazing feeling for me. It's so fulfilling and satisfying, and she hasn't just started getting some traction. She's just blown up.
Yeah.
Like she's gone from she's shown with me almost every year since I've been open in a group exhibition of one kind or another, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. This is her first solo exhibition, and we're at the halfway point. I've got 44 pieces on exhibition. I've sold half of them.
Wow. That's great.
It's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And the feedback from, and the way the general public is responding to the exhibition is phenomenal. I've already talked to, Dan, now that he's curating that gallery in Rhino. I kind of put a bug in his ear about having her show there this summer. So I think he's invited her to do that. And then next week I'm pitching the exhibition to the Gilpin County Arts Board to try to get an exhibition of her stuff up there next fall. Because I just really think this exhibition needs to be seen by a lot more people for a lot longer amount of time.
Yeah, she pitched the Doll Fine Arts Center Rapid City, and they passed on it. And I'm really disappointed because I think they missed a great opportunity to really show some interesting stuff that would, I think it's time for having those kind of, and not that her pieces are that edgy. But we need to have that kind of stuff up here. They do a good job, but.
Yeah. Well, that's just it though. That she uses this almost frivolous imagery of the mid-mod, late 50s, early 60s. So soften the blow and make it more palatable of what the actual narrative is. And you get into the exhibition and you're seeing them online, but when you come in and you actually read the tags for each piece and the number of them, I literally had a therapist walk out of my gallery yesterday and she said, I've gotten through an 1/8 of this exhibition. I have to leave. This is overwhelming, but this is amazing, and left. And wanted to make sure that everything was online because she wanted to buy a piece. And it's getting really positive feedback from both male and females. Yeah. I honestly thought at some point some male was going to walk in the exhibition and cause a scene, and they're almost more accepting and more into it than the females are. And that sounds a lot more brash than it really is. I just mean, they're really like, if this was the entire population of the planet, we would be having these issues right now. You know what I mean? Like, they are so open to this message that she's pushing, this narrative that's been needed to be. Well, it's been around since the beginning of time. I mean, it's just we're in the right social and political environment right now for this to be able to happen, and people openly listen to it or read it or view it.
Yeah, it's an incredible exhibit, and it's called Metal Martyr. We had Amy on, A.L. Loomis on a few months ago, right after she did her Bend the Iron show. And between that show and this show, she created like close to 50 pieces for this show?
For this show, she created 47 total.
47, okay.
And I hung 43 or 44. And I think for Bend the Iron, it was close to the same amount.
She's incredibly prolific, and this show is
crazy.
Yeah, I've been back twice. I went to the opening, and it was like the therapist you were talking about. It was almost overwhelming. I told Bill when I saw him that night, I said I'm embarrassed, and I was embarrassed because I can't believe that she produced all this work in that small amount of that window of time. Not only that, she has a huge installation that she's done, and yeah, it's a beautiful show. So
between the pieces on the wall, the installation aspect of it, the short film aspect of it, and it was all done in 4 months. I mean, it was just nuts. And you're not the only one. I had several artists that came through, and all of us were joking about, we got to get off our butts. She's making us look bad by getting all this done. You know, like I'm still trying to get just 20 pieces done for my solo exhibition, and here she's got 50, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And for those who are listening that aren't in the Denver area and you want to see her work, go to bitfactory.net and look under exhibitions, and you'll see Metal Martyr and those pieces. And if you go on to his shop, which is shop.bitfactory.net, not only can you go and look at them, but you can purchase them. So get on there, look at some of those, find something you like, and get on and buy it, because her stuff is amazing. And these, even the prints are, $45 for a lunchbox. And yeah.
Well, and the prints we have are $36 and $21.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
and they're almost sold out. Well,
yeah.
they are, but they're almost sold out, so they got to hurry up.
So when you buy a print, I got a quick question. So you get a print and you got, let's say, like issue number 46. Do you get the little placard? Does that come with it on the back?
Yes. So after we got the show going, I got a hold of her. I said, people are going to want the tags as well. So she went through it and did a whole new batch of tags and signed them all. So whoever buys a piece gets a tag with it.
Nice.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, she'll be at the Waiting Room Gallery, I think in July, and then I'm trying to get her up at Washington Hall up in Central City sometime in the fall. And she's sticking with this narrative and this vision she has right now for a while.
Good.
I don't know why she would stop until she gets exhausted of just saying the same thing over and over again until somebody actually hears. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So will you keep her stuff on your shop for a little while? Okay. Until they're sold out.
And even when they sell, they're still on there so people can see the work in case they want to commission her for something.
Great.
It just marks it as sold out.
That's smart. I love that. That's a great idea.
Has this been the best show that you've had this year? Well, obviously this year, but in the past year, I should say, since the pandemic started. Yeah,
this is the best-selling show for a couple of years. There's a couple of shows that I have every year, except for last year. Obviously, I didn't have one that sell really great. And this one, quite honestly, I was going into it just hoping to get bodies through the door to actually hear and see the message. The fact that the sales have just gone bananas is just, icing on the cake, really. And I'm hoping it kind of makes her makes her a household name in the art community in Colorado now, and it helps her start pushing out regionally, because she really deserves it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. She's so incredibly talented, and like I said, prolific, and I really enjoyed the last body of work she did, Bend the Iron, but this is like a whole other like avenue like realm that she's in now. And, it was cool to talk with her that night at the opening. And just, how appreciative she is of you, Bill, recognizing, her talent and her as an artist and showcasing it and giving her the chance because, she said you were the first one to really like get it and give her that opportunity. And, she definitely felt very thankful for what you've provided for her and what you've done for her career.
Well, and you're right. She's extremely grateful and thankful about it. And I'm the one that should be thanking her nonstop for just walking in my gallery and approaching me about just, exhibiting there. And I kind of feel that way about all the artists I work with. I've just got this fantastic group of artists that I can tap into that have, for some unknown reason to me, have come through my gallery and want to exhibit there. You know what I mean? Like I'm just, I hate to say it this way, but I'm so damn blessed. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
My fiance is going to laugh at me for saying blessed, but it's an inside joke with us. That whole hashtag blessed crap. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I can't believe how lucky I am.
Yeah.
First of all, to be able to work with somebody that talented, who has every time she's shown, she's grown. And now all of a sudden that she's got her first solo exhibition with me, it's just exploded. Like it's just taken off like crazy. For her, it's got to be so damn validating, but it also is for me as well. Finally, people are starting to see what I see in her artwork. You know what I mean? And I kind of feel validated as a gallerist finally, which, has never been my main focus or forte. I'm an actual working artist. So maybe I'm starting to get things right.
No, I think you're the way that you do things and the way you have yourself set up. I think it's not only is it incredibly smart, but you just provide something I think is missing a lot of times in the art world. Like from the moment I entered Bitfactory, I always, I felt welcomed. I really, loved meeting you. You were approachable. And I've said it before off the podcast that, my experience at Bitfactory is what I measure all my other experiences when I go into a gallery or a new gallery. How am I treated? Am I greeted? Yeah. Do they engage with me? And that's all because of you, man. So,
well, luckily I had some, I don't know if you want to call them good or bad experiences, as an artist trying to get exhibitions and walking into galleries and nobody would talk to you or there was nobody in there. Yeah. And, ever since you've said that to me a few times and I've kind of been paying attention to people since we've talked about that. And there's quite a few people who will say, oh, you own the gallery? You're actually talking to me, you're here, that kind of thing. I'm like, well, yeah, that's my job. I put the art on the walls. I present it to you. I have you here to try to buy some stuff. Why wouldn't I be talking to you?
Right.
But yeah, I do know what they're saying because there's several galleries in town that I walk into that they just kind of look at you on the side of their eye and say, huh, you must not have money and walk off,
Right.
Which I don't know. Just kind
you
of
shouldn't make that mistake, man.
Yeah. Especially in Colorado, because man, right? People dress so casually. You could walk in with blue jeans and a flannel shirt and be a millionaire. You don't know.
Oh, I've seen people had more money than God in like flip flops and holy jeans.
Right.
And could literally buy the entire city block. So why would you judge people that way? And that gets into a whole other conversation we don't need to get into. But that's just my job is to be there and greet everybody.
Right.
And try to make them feel like comfortable. And if they have any questions, I'm the person to come ask. Unless the artist is there, then I'll let them know that as well.
Yeah.
I'm pointing to my side like there's somebody next to me.
What's that?
And maybe that's why your gallery and you resonate with me because we wear the same uniform. It's usually a t-shirt and blue jeans, and you got your standard ball cap on a lot of times. But
yeah.
And maybe that's why people go, "Oh, you're the gallery owner," because they expect something else. They're not used to seeing that. But I guess that's probably why it resonated with me. Like, hey, this guy's, I can relate to him. He's just like me.
Well, approachability, right?
Yeah,
totally. It is. Yeah. And I've walked into a number of galleries, like even in Telluride, and they'll just, they'll nod their head at you and say, if you have any questions, ask me, which is fine. I don't necessarily mind being left alone while I'm looking at great art.
Right,
but at the same time, I think, there's that customer service element. Acknowledge me when I walk in, say goodbye when I leave, and thanks for coming in. And then, you don't have to follow them around and, beg for, like, let me talk to you, but be personable and be approachable like you are, So.
Well, I think that's important. Yeah, absolutely. Acknowledge them when they walk in, acknowledge them when they're leaving, and if you can say something to them in between, do. But I know when I walk into a gallery or museum, I don't want somebody in my ear when I'm trying to view. You know what I mean? So I try to stay away from people unless they want to engage and ask me questions or whatever. But I do want them to feel like that I am here and I can be. You're not bothering me. Come talk to me if you need to.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's tightrope. Sometimes there's very antisocial people that come in.
Yeah.
And just saying hi to them kind of puts them on the back foot. You're like, oh, sorry. And that's something I've had to learn too. I've never been a salesman type at all, and I don't think I am now, but I think I'm getting much better at, for lack of a better term, people skills, and trying to make sure that they feel welcome, that I'm there. And that's one of the things that bothers me that I'm going to miss about the very the first Fridays and openings right now that are kind of smaller. Because when I get 2,000 or 3,000 people coming through my door tonight, I don't get a chance to say hello and goodbye to everybody. And right now, with between 50 and 100 people coming through, I get plenty of time to talk to them, to greet them, visit with them for a while if they want to talk about a piece, and that I will miss that, because it's a much more enjoyable experience, especially for myself. They just hi bye.
Right. And I think, First Fridays is a different gig. People are, they understand. I mean, I totally understand. If I walk in, there's, like that First Friday Todd took me to, where we came down to Bitfactory, there was a ton of people in there, but we stopped and, Todd introduced you to me, and it was just a pleasant conversation, and you were right by the door. So it was a great experience. So but it's a different thing, than coming in on a Wednesday afternoon just to see some art,
Right.
So, right.
Hugely different. Yeah. There's been a couple First Fridays where I get 3,000 or 4,000 through there, and it's just a conveyor belt. Like, I don't even know how people are actually viewing stuff. They're just getting pushed through, Yeah. So that's the one nice thing about all this, about 2020 and everything slowing down, is the openings and the First Fridays and all that have been a little bit smaller. Well, not smaller, but it's nice because I get time to talk to everybody, and the artist does as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that may help push sales. I don't know.
I think it does.
Yeah.
And talking with other artists and gallery owners that have been doing shows still through the pandemic, having more of that one-on-one, I think, has really helped them as far as moving art and then artists selling art. So I think it has. So if we can find that balance between, the big openings and First Fridays, and then, having that intimate one-on-one with the artists and viewing art, I think we'll be in a really good place.
The flip side of this too is, especially working with emerging and up and coming artists, you say, if I tell somebody who's had a couple small minor group shows that I get 2,000 or 3,000 people through my door in one night a month, their eyes are this big. They're not equating, they're not thinking it through about volume versus sales. I'd rather have 10 people through my gallery in the entire month and they all bought something than 3,000 people and nobody bought anything.
Right.
And the established artists, and I think we might have touched on this last time too, but the established artists totally understand that and get that. They could really care less about First Fridays in that sense. And honestly, I don't do a lot of sales on First Fridays. What I do get is return people who come back during the week when it's quiet and really look at the piece and decide if they want it or not. So it helps in that sense,
Yeah.
Yeah. First Friday is more about getting out and, seeing a lot of art, because all the galleries are open, and,
and
having a glass of wine or a beer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's an experience, a social experience. It's like going to a concert almost, but it's art. So
have I showed you her yet?
Look there.
Oh, she's beautiful.
That's the new one. Marshmallow. Yeah. Well, her name's Tia, but I call her Marshmallow.
So what kind of dog is she? Is she a mix?
She's a Neapolitan Mastiff.
Okay.
She's about 165 pounds, and she's all lap dog.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crushing.
I can imagine.
Literally.
She loved to try to crawl up in my chair with me. It's hilarious.
That would be like me sitting on your lap.
Yeah. Well, my fiance is 100 pounds. You got to see him walking down the street. It's pretty funny.
Who walks who in that scenario?
Well, that's what I had to worry about. But she is like so chill and docile that she just scoots along and April guides her around. You know what I mean? Like she never noises and stuff. She'll look up at something, but she never runs or anything. She's a great dog. Anyway, sorry.
Oh,
no,
that's cool.
It's all good.
Love dogs.
So in addition to doing the online shop on your website and moving art that way, has there been anything else that you've incorporated into how you do business this past year?
You know, I did a bunch. I've got one group that I worked with until the pandemic. I worked with every year and did a digital art show. They were graphic designers. So I was really looking into NFTs for a while. I just can't figure out how to make them work for a non-digital format. You know, I was looking into possibly doing prints that way. But again, because I don't like how a photographed painting looks, I don't want that being my representation out there. If that kind of makes sense. You know, it's fine to do a couple, like if I do prints, I do like a limited edition run of 10. But I don't think I want it, but that's on paper. So you've got that, you can touch it. It's in front of you. You can see it on a wall. Towards a digital, it always looks flat like a photograph to me. So I looked into that for a bit. And my friends who do the digital stuff, they just did their first release last week, I think. So I'm waiting to see how that comes out for them. But no, just the online store was really all I needed to do. And that really kept me going. I honestly, since isolation, the solo exhibition, I had to slam together really quick to fill the hole in my schedule last year. I sold really well at that. And from that show on, I've been selling pretty well with every exhibition.
So I was just gonna ask you, so what shows did you have last year?
So in March, I did open spaces. I hung the week before the shutdown. So I was I was in my closed week. And as soon as I was supposed to open, we closed down. So that stayed on the walls until July. So then I opened up the third Friday of July. And I went ahead and ran that show for 2 months because I had a couple of national artists in there and then the rest were local. You know, it was right after the shutdown and nobody was out. So there was no foot traffic. I think I had like 30 people in 2 months come through. Wow. It was really, I was really kind of getting worried. And then like I said, I had to throw together Isolation, my own solo exhibition, just to fill the schedule. That actually got really good coverage in the press, 9 News and the Post. Some other people picked it up. I got really good foot traffic and I got pretty good sales on it. And then I did, the Pastel Society of Colorado had already booked the last two, December, January for their annual Masterwork show. So that show went off and the sales did really well for that exhibition as well.
So was that curated by them as opposed to you, or how did that work?
Yes. So that show was all their thing. They did a call with their own members, which apparently they have members globally. I didn't know this. And they're one of the largest pastel societies on the planet with like 400 members or something ridiculous. It's just insane. And they've got some really famous artists in their group who just do amazing work. But yeah, they curated it. They did everything. All I did was hang it and light it and then sell the heck out of it.
Nice.
So lots of sales from that show as well, huh?
You know, honestly, sold really well. I was hoping to sell one, and I think I did, $5 or $6 grand for that show, which, it doesn't sound like a whole lot right now, but coming out of all that pandemic and how bad foot traffic was and everything, it was pretty good, And these, these were all smaller pieces that were all under, I think the most expensive one was $3 grand in the entire show. You know what I mean? So the price points were really high. And then my show, I sold about $8,000 on, give or take.
Wow.
And then, yeah, it did really well, which totally, coming off of that Open Spaces exhibition, which I thought was a fantastic show. It was landscapes done in 4 or 5 different genres and styles and stuff. And it was a really strong show, and I didn't have any sales for that, which totally surprised me. And then, well, I shouldn't say that. The sales in my show surprised me after that because I didn't expect foot traffic to pick back up or anything like it did.
Right.
But I think getting the press coverage really helped,
Yeah.
And then the No Show this year, the sales were not as good as I was hoping, but I still sold some. And then the photography show for Month of Photography, it sold, but not very well, but still some sales. And then Amy's show is just skyrocketing.
That's great. So overall, it's been a pretty decent year considering what went down.
I kind of expected to have almost no foot traffic and definitely no sales until the middle of the summer. So it's totally blown my expectations out of the water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the foot traffic, and I think I would talk to you about this when he came down for Urbane, but for some reason during that month of photography exhibition, the foot traffic kind of dropped off again. And then towards the end of it, it picked right back up again. It was this kind of weird lull. And I don't know if it was spring breaks were going on or, what was going on. But honestly, since about October, the foot traffic has been pretty steady, increasing,
And that no-show that you have every year, the annual no-show, that was a really spectacular show this year. I mean, it was really strong.
It was impressive to see the body of work once it was all put together and how it flowed. I think doing 2 pieces from every artist this year really helped compared to last year's when I did 1 piece per artist. Even though last year was a great show, I think this year it was just a lot stronger and a better presentation.
And so you've seen a slight increase each month with the first Fridays, because I know I didn't make it down this last week, but the previous first Fridays, which I thought people would start to be out and about, it was not as big as I thought it would be. But this last one is pretty decent, huh?
Yeah, and I also went from, when I opened back up, I was only doing part-time hours of 2 or 3 days a week, 3 or 4 hours a day. And by January, I was back to 5 days a week, 11 to 3 Tuesday through Saturday. So the foot, and I was basing that on foot traffic. So the foot traffic built up that much just into January. And then, so then in February, was it? Or January, February, I started doing first Fridays as well. So I've gone from 50 to 60, and this last one was 90 people through the front door for first Fridays. So it's increasing, and this is the first opening exhibition I've done, and we had, I don't know, either 80 or 100 people through the door for that as well.
Spectacular.
So
was there some of the crowds that you usually see walking up and down Santa Fe this past Friday?
No, there was. It's the other thing that's been really nice about the first Fridays coming out of the pandemic is people are coming to the gallery and they're staying there. So it's more like an opening reception. It's not just people milling through each gallery. When they get down there, they kind of stay wherever they're at. Which is why I started doing my openings on third Friday, because third Friday they were doing the collector night on. That's kind of what happened on third Fridays. So that's been kind of cool. So I'm also going to miss that when that goes away, when all the big crowds come back,
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes to get back to what it was before. Do you think it'll get back to that again?
Yeah. I'm thinking probably, I was thinking July. I'm thinking probably late May or June now.
Yeah.
Since now that in Colorado, we're vaccinating everybody 16 and over, and the weather is just warm and beautiful now. God, I can't talk.
It's because you just had a birthday, Bill. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you, man.
You're part of the 50s club now?
Yeah, I just joined the 50s.
Congratulations.
Well, thanks, good. Thanks. You joined right when I'm about to leave.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, in November.
Maybe you guys are he's taking your place?
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, one leaves, one's got to come in,
So Club 50.
Yeah. We had a really nice dinner with my fiance and son last night, and the 17th, a bunch of us are going out and seeing what kind of damage we can do to our livers.
Nice.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, cool. That's good to hear that the crowds are growing, and I'm with you. I think it's going to happen earlier than July for sure. Initially, I was kind of thinking July is when everything kind of be back on track, but I think you're right. Maybe by May, maybe June, we'll be right back where we were.
I think as people get more confident and more of the population is vaccinated and people feel safer, it'll be kind of a no-brainer. I mean, as soon as everybody's vaccinated, why would you go out again?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
How has the pandemic affected your rental of your studio spaces? Are you filling back up again?
Yeah, finally. It's funny that you asked that, because I just had 2 showings this last week and they both rented studios.
Sweet.
So I've been sitting on these vacancies for months, So I don't know what happened. It also we turned a corner. And so, yeah, I got those two rented off. I've got two others right now, and I'm about to have a third one. But I'm pretty sure I've got that rented already as well. But yeah, I just got like in the last 2 weeks, I got, or maybe 3 weeks, I've just gotten a slurry of calls about studio space.
What size are your studios that you have available?
So the first floor are 235 square foot, and the second floor are 216 square foot. And then I have I call it an office space, but it could be used for a gallery too. And it's 800 or 900 square foot.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
And, I'm right in the middle of Art District. I mean, I'm just in a prime spot for foot traffic,
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than where you're at, man.
Yeah.
No.
So let's talk about this solo exhibition that you have coming up right after Amy's. You had a solo exhibition last year, like you said, in the fall, and you did well. What are we going to see with this exhibition coming up?
Oh, you're killing me, man. So I was trying to get 20 to 25 new paintings done for the show. And I'm very happy with what I've gotten done. I'm very happy with my progress, but I haven't got 20 paintings done. And that's one of the things that Dan and I were joking about after seeing how prolific Amy was with her stuff. Primarily going to be all new work. There's going to be some older paintings in there as well, but not many. And it's really, I'm just doing this to celebrate the 6 years I've had Bitfactory. This is last year was my 5-year anniversary, which, normally you do 5, 10, 15 anniversary as well. Pandemic shut down. So I'm doing the 6-year anniversary this year. And it's, I've moved into this, I don't want to say darker phase, but I'm doing a lot of urban cityscapes at nighttime, and especially during or after rainstorms, or somehow it's very dark and incorporating water somehow. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know what that says about me subconsciously, but it's I'm really proud of the pieces I've got done so far, and I think they're really strong. And I'm really interested to see how the public, how they respond and what the feedback is. And I'm just happy to be able to celebrate 6 years of business. Bitfactory's here. It's not going anywhere. I survived the pandemic. Things are picking up. I'm renting studios again. I've been selling art for months. Everything's going good, So let's have a little party and celebrate.
Yeah,
no doubt.
It doesn't get any better than that, man.
Yeah.
So this opens when?
Third Friday of April.
Third Friday of April. All right. Right on, man.
At 6 p.m.
Moving beyond your solo show for this year, which I'm very excited about. And these are big pieces like you normally do? Because you usually work pretty
The
well.
majority of them are large. I'm going to try to get some small ones done just so I have to show fewer old pieces.
Right.
And smaller stuff goes faster than the large stuff. But yeah, they're, the two I'm working on right now or the three I'm working on right now are I think at least 48 by 36.
Wow.
Give or take.
And then you did some commission work this past year too, right?
So my friend's from England, and he was the guitar player in the band that we toured the country in the 90s. And he lives back in Mount Kisco, and he opened an Anglophile store. So it's just everything you can't get here from England, And he asked me to do a couple paintings to sell in there. So what I did is I did the Baker Street Underground Station, which is above ground, and it's nighttime and it's raining. And then I did Big Ben at sunset after a rainstorm.
Nice.
So those two are out there.
And then I was looking at your Instagram page here. This is new too, isn't it?
That's one of my nephews out in LA sitting in front of Chica's Tacos.
I love this piece, man.
I do too. It took quite a while to finish, but I really like it. And as soon as I showed him, he said the nicest thing he could have said. He said, "You totally caught the atmosphere and the mood of that moment."
Yeah. And these pieces, these are just
those are the ones for my friend's store out in Mount Kisco.
I love these. These are just stunning. So obviously those two pieces are gone. Is the other piece from LA, the taco stand, is that going to be in this solo show?
It will be.
So anybody who wants to see his Instagram page, it's WMax Thomason. So WMAXTHOMASON on Instagram. It's got some amazing stuff. So make sure you go there and check it out.
That's a commission piece. The guy that owns the store at Mount Kisco commissioned that for his wife for Christmas, and that's never shown before. And I'm going to ship it back out here for the exhibition.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a great piece called Life Under Giants, huh?
Yeah, that's what is that? New York after the rain, looking down the street at the Chrysler Building.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
So this is kind of what you're talking about, these kind of cityscapes after the rain or during the rain type of stuff.
Yeah. All at nighttime or dusk.
I love that, man.
So as a non-painter, I find that just seems like that would be very difficult to capture, a wet surface, but these are amazing.
It's what is it? The water, ice, fire, and snow, I think, are like the 4 hardest things to paint. And quite honestly, the reflective part of it isn't hard at all. Oddly enough, or if it is, I figured it out quick or something. I don't know.
Right.
But I seem to be able to do it pretty well, and I'm just really enthralled with it. Like I can't stop painting it. It's, and I kind of like that too. I like this whole working with night scenes and urban stuff. And if I get reflective stuff in it, I like that too. But it's just right now, it's really speaking to me. And I'm not getting bored with it. I'm not. There's still stuff for me to learn. Like I'm not getting stagnant with my learning while working on this stuff.
Well, they're phenomenal.
And it's fun. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I like all your work, man. I mean, I really do. It's like so different, and all the series that you've done. I like how you just explore something for a while, and then you're like, okay, I'm good with that. I'm moving on.
Well, that's every time I decided on a series, it's to learn. And once I get done learning, unless I'm still having a lot of fun with it, I need to move on and keep furthering my education. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To bring up Dan again, he's doing a show at his gallery, and I'm doing all of my out of focus stuff is going to be showing there. And that stuff was fantastic to paint. And I still do it every once in a while, but the whole point was to learn how to make something look out of focus and distort it without going too far. Well, I after 14 paintings, I got that figured out. So let's move on now. And that's where I've gone into these nighttime cityscapes with a lot of reflective surfaces.
I can't wait to see it. And when you're talking about Dan, you're talking about our friend Dan Drossman. And he has a show coming up as well, right?
He does. He when Amy's show opening night, he was like, "I'm not going after her, am I?"
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, made me laugh. But so and again, I don't know what happened, but this year is the show's the year of solo exhibitions at Bitfactory. I've got like 4 in a row.
Nice.
So talk about each one of those shows then, and who the artists are.
So we got Metal Martyr with A.L. Lummis right now. That closes this Thursday. And then the 16th, my solo show opens. And then in May, Dan has a solo show called Teetering the Line. And then after him is a local artist, Jeff Larde, who is an amazing, just unbelievable photorealist or hyper-realist that I cannot believe it hasn't just taken off. We did a group show together a few years ago. We both had pieces in a group show, and we both just fell in love with each other's work. And I had him he was supposed to be a no-show this year, and he got COVID right before drop-off. So he had to pull his piece because he didn't want to come down and spread it or anything. So, but we'd already talked about, I love his work so much. And it's right in that vein of Richard Estes, who I just, his 60s and 70s paintings, I just adore. They were such a big influence on me in college. And that's who Jeff is in that vein to me, the style and the way he works and the imagery he does. So he's somebody I really want to help take off like Amy did. You know what I mean?
And this is the first time you've showed him in the gallery?
Well, it will be. It wasn't supposed to be, but it will be. Because he could.
How do you spell his last name?
Velarde, I believe.
Okay.
And he's on Instagram as Jeff Velarde, I think.
Okay.
Velarde or Lardy. I hope I'm not saying it wrong.
Velarde.
He's just the nicest guy in the world. Like he's just down to earth, easy to talk to. That's the other thing. I'm hashtag blessed. With all the artists I work with, they're just super fantastic, nice, down to earth people. Yeah. Nobody's presumptuous. Nobody's, unhumble and just a complete ass. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which I've ran into quite a bit in the past with other places, but I just have a great group of people around me right now, which, I think is one of the really important things in life is keeping a good group of people around you.
Yeah.
Well, you've worked hard to cultivate that, so now you're seeing the fruits of your labor, right? You've planted all these seeds, and now it's starting to grow and take off.
See, now you're trying to give me credit. I don't like that.
You deserve all the credit, Bill. You really do. So you got Jeff. That's in May. You said no. That's in June.
Dan's May. So Dan, and then I have I finally get to do the Us exhibition again, which is an exhibition featuring LGBTQ artists or artists who identify in that community. That was supposed to be annual, but last year again got tanked. So this is the second one I'm doing this year. And then after that, Jeff has a solo exhibition. And after Jeff will be the call for entry show with Amy Metier as the juror.
Okay.
That's awesome.
That Us show, any particular artists you want to highlight from that show that's coming up?
Oh, got some fantastic ones. Louis Trujillo is just, his talent is unworldly with colored pencils. He's phenomenal. He's a photorealist, really. Portraits of himself. Some are drag, some are just hanging out with a wig on. They're just extremely intimate and personal. And the detail on them is just astounding. I've got a new artist, Autumn Thomas. I think she's got a piece at Arvada Center right now, but she's a sculptor. And she just happened to move into Bitfactory Studios. I don't know, I think last summer. She's fantastic. Who else is showing?
She's up at Bimoka right now too.
Is she?
I think. Yeah.
Then Jeremy Patlin is a photographer I've worked with several times. Actually, his husband is the one that I did the first Us with. He like helped me find artists and he helped me put everything together. Scott, he's just a fantastic human being. But Jeremy is a great photographer that I've worked with for several shows. He was actually just in the Urbane exhibition for Mott this year. Who else? Jason Van Zant is a digital artist. He does digital portraiture, and he did a whole series on trans people. It's just fantastic. So we're going to be doing that. So Us is June 19th through July 9th. Then Jeff's show is July 17th through August 13th. And then August 21st through September 10th is the call for entry exhibition that is called Viral Hope. And then after that, I have an exhibition called Three Kings. And the reason I call it that is because there was a bar on Broadway called Three Kings that Jim, who owns Mutiny Cafe, Mutiny Information Cafe, used to be one of the owners at Three Kings. And I met Vincent Cheap, Josh Finley, and Jason Cope there. And so it's just a show of those three artists who are just phenomenal artists and have, really individual styles. But they're each doing one piece based on Three Kings, and they're doing a body of work beyond that I'm going to curate out of. And, Josh came in and actually bought one of Amy's lunchboxes because he's going to do a special toy series for that show. And he really liked that lunchbox idea.
Yeah.
And then after that show, I have Tadashi Hayakawa doing his final solo exhibition. And then I have the Pastel Society of Colorado's doing another show with me called their Small Work Show, which I think everything is 6 inches or smaller from their members. And that'll finish out this year.
That's awesome.
Nice. And then you were back into the no show for the 2022.
Yep. And so 2022 no show will actually go back to being 2 months long.
Great.
This year I had to cut it short. And then, I've already got shows on the books for next year as well. Because like I said earlier, this whole 2020 got all so screwed up.
Yeah.
I wanted you to talk about that Tadashi show, your friend Tadashi. I wasn't familiar with him, but you said getting up in age, he's like 80 years old. And this is one of his last shows that solo shows he's going to put on. Yeah.
So he's doing, so every year he does in Parker, in the park down there, they do a kind of an art fair. And he calls it Art for Everybody, but I don't know if that's the actual name of it. But what he does, he sells all of his stuff under $900. And what he does, so he'll take 4 or 5 really large pieces and mark them down to like $900. Some smaller pieces and knock them down to like $800, that kind of thing. And there's only a certain number of each price group. But he really wants, because his stuff sells for anywhere from $8,000 to $40,000.
Wow.
So he really wants everybody to have access to his stuff. So he's doing that. I think that he's doing that. It opened Friday, I think, at Sync. He's doing art for everybody there this year.
Oh, at Next Gallery.
Next. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's doing that. So then he's doing his final solo show. At least this is the way we've been talking about it. He's been talking about it. Is this show at Bitfactory will be his final solo exhibition. He just did one in LA 2 years ago and it sold out. And a bunch of his pieces went to galleries or museums all over the world. So I'm hoping we'll have really good success for him, because this is how he makes his money and this is how he, budgets out all of his expenses. So I want to make sure he's got money for a few years to be comfortable,
Yeah.
And then I'll be managing his collection or his body of work after that as well.
That's spectacular.
amazing.
How did you meet him?
So did you know the Artwork Network Gallery that used to be on the corner of 9th?
I don't know if I remember that one or not.
So it was there for quite a few years. It was huge. But he used to paint in the window there on First Fridays, and it's the only gallery he showed in Denver. And they shut the gallery down and just went to an online format. So he came to my gallery wanting to do a show, but was looking for a gallery to do a show, and we just hit it off. I mean, I consider him a great friend. I go down and see him once in a while. And when he's feeling well, he comes up to the gallery for shows and whatnot. But he's just a hell of a nice guy, and we just really hit it off. We've been talking about doing a show for a few years, and it finally started coming to fruition. And then the pandemic hit, kind of screwed that all up. But one time I went down and hung out with him for a day, and he had 3 different storage units just full of work. So and he's worried about what's going to happen with his work afterwards, and he wants his daughter, who's an actress out in LA, to receive funds from it if it should sell or whatnot. So he approached me and asked me to take over managing his collection and then just splitting proceeds with her. Should I be able to, get anything sold for him once he's gone? Which, it's kind of a hard conversation to have with him every once in a while, because he'll start talking about, well, I'm 80 years old. I'm not much longer for this world and whatnot. And you kind of get a little choked up. You're like, whoa, slow down, buddy. I don't want you to leave the planet just yet. But he's really worried about, I don't want to say worried, but he's really looking ahead and trying to make sure everything's taken care of, because he doesn't want his work to just disappear or get thrown away or something. Right. And he wants his daughter to have a legacy from his work,
And he's a phenomenal artist and obviously important. And,
unreal.
And it's crazy to think that, here we go, another Denver or a Colorado connection, this phenomenal artist living here, working.
Well, and he's a teacher too. Like he calls them workshops. He does a workshop every, one Saturday a month or something with a bunch of people. And we're going to, in 2022, we're going to do a show showcasing those artists as well. And he's worked with other artists that had run studios for me before. That's another way we met, is I always saw him in the building, because he was always meeting with one of the other artists at a studio. But he's just so easy to talk to and learn from. And he's just a wealth of knowledge, And I'm looking at one of his paintings right here on my wall. His ability with abstract expression is just unreal. It just moves you. You can't help but look at any of his work and just get sucked into it emotionally,
And that 3 Kings show that you're doing, so you have Josh and you have Jason Cope, you said?
Yes.
It's going to be part of that? I'm excited about that show, because I love Jason's work, and we're going to have to
you
get
seen
him
the
on
stuff he's posting online right now?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's absolutely stunning. Amazing.
I'm going to have to lock that guy in my basement. He's got to quit creating stuff, because every time he does, I buy it. I've got an entire room in my house full of his art.
That's what you said.
I just love, I can't get my head around the way he creates art. And I love it. I can't get enough of it. And everything he's posting is for stuff for me to curate for the exhibit from. And I keep telling him, quit doing this, because I got to buy all this. You're not going to have any sales in the show because or pre-bought everything.
Hey, Todd, we need to put links because you're dropping some names down that people won't be able to go find. No, well, I want them to be able to go find it. So if you can go and maybe put links to their Instagram or something, so people can, like Tatashi and this other guy you just mentioned, just so, I can find him and other people can find him.
Tadashi doesn't have Instagram, but he has a website.
Okay.
But yeah, that'd be great.
So what we'll do is, Bill, I will get that calendar from you with the dates, and I'll put that all in the episode notes.
Okay, cool.
Because that's not actually on Bitfactory's website, is it?
No, I don't do a calendar like that. I just put exhibits as they happen.
I never saw it on there, so I didn't think I was missing it. But yeah, if you want to send me that,
good idea.
Yeah, I think if you could even have like upcoming, because I was looking for like what you had coming up, and obviously you don't have anything listed. It'd be kind of cool to be able to go and connect. But I was looking for Tadashi. I couldn't find him, but I'll look for it. And anyway, as a side note.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, Todd, back to you, buddy.
So these all sound like phenomenal shows, and I'm excited about the invitational show that you put out there. And mention that again too, as far as where people can go if they want to.
The call for entry show.
The call for entry show. Sorry.
That's right. So it's called Viral Hope, and they can submit to it at callforentry.org, or it's commonly called Cafe. And as I stated before, Amy Metier will be the juror. And it runs August 21st through September 10th.
Great.
And if your listeners go on to callforentry.org and just search Bitfactory or Viral Hope, it'll come up. And it's $35 to enter, 3 images per entry. And Amy will juror through that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that you always have your finger on the pulse of what's kind of going on, either, locally or outside of the Denver area. Any new artists that you've come across recently that you're very excited about that, either you'd like to get them into the gallery or you're looking to get them into the gallery?
Yeah. Evan. Let me see if I can look him up real quick. He's doing right now. Everything he's posting online are these fantastic out of focus cityscapes, like at dusk or something. So all the lights are lit up, but they're just completely out of focus. And I love what he's doing. And I want to talk to him. And I really, if I could get Feral Kid, I believe he's in South America somewhere.
Feral Kid.
This is his Instagram account. It's just unreal what he's doing. Oh, Evan Abramson. So his Instagram is Evan C. Abramson, but you can see just from the top 6 lines of his stuff, it's just phenomenal what he's doing. He's getting ready for a solo exhibition somewhere else. He's not from Colorado. He's not here. But everything he's posted is just beautiful. And I'm working with Ira Sherman. We're going to do another solo exhibition in 2023.
Fantastic.
He's getting a whole new. He thinks he can have between 6 and 8 new pieces done. And we were just talking about this a couple days ago. There's a painter in Santa Fe who wants to paint his sculptures on models. So we're thinking about doing I said solo. I meant a 2-person show. We're thinking about doing his sculpture with her paintings of his work, which would be kind of
really cool.
Yeah, it'd be really cool because originally I was just thinking about doing photographs on the walls, prints. But if we could get somebody to actually do paintings of them, I think that'd be even better. Him and Nancy just came in to see Amy's show too. They saw it online, thought it was phenomenal, and came down. They bought a piece.
Nice.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for her.
I
can't tell you how happy, and for you too. Like, I mean, it's really cool to have met her. And, you've been a great friend, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, to us, because you've fed us tons of artists that have either shown at Bitfactory at one time or another, or are currently in your rotation of artists. Mm-hmm. So for that, we really appreciate all the stuff that you've done for us.
Oh, yeah.
So do you use Instagram primarily to find like new people that get artists?
I use everything.
Yeah.
Like Instagram, Facebook, Google, quite a few artists I find just by people telling me about them. And then I go look them up. You know what I mean? The one thing that I don't like about running the gallery and being an artist at the same time is I have so little time that I can't go out to other art shows as much as I'd like to find people, to exhibit.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because you are there, pretty well chained to the gallery a lot of times. I mean, especially on First Fridays and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's probably kind of difficult between running the studios, running the gallery, and then finding time to do your own work. to get out and really see art.
It's really hard. I missed everything at DAM from Van Gogh on until the Frida Kahlo, Diego Rivera show.
Did you go see that one?
I did.
That was really good, I thought.
Really? I thought it was very underwhelming.
Underwhelming?
Yeah.
See, and I've heard it from both sides. Like some people really loved it, and some people like yourself found it underwhelming. Did you think that there was going to be more to it, or what was underwhelming for you?
I thought it'd be a bigger collection, first of all, and second of all, and I should have known going into it because I know these pieces are not in that collection, but I was expecting to see more of her work. It was very Rivera heavy and very heavy on. Well, the part I did like, it was very heavy on artists I'd never even heard of. There's a bunch of the Mexican modernists that they had in there that I'd never even heard of or seen their work. So that was cool.
That was cool. And
they had the one really cool portrait that he did of the actress, the guy's wife, the collector, of her on the couch. Yeah. That was a beautiful painting with the calla lilies, and her shape matched the calla lily shape and all that. But I really want to see more of Frida's stuff. Like she was another artist that really had a huge or profound effect on me in college when I was painting, and it taught me about how intimate and how personal and how just achingly raw self-portraits are. And especially when you've gone through something like she had, and she painted all those portraits of herself in that brace or with the metal bones and all that kind of stuff, trying to process what had happened to her. And that's what I was really hoping to see. But, I knew in the back of my head that would be there because it's in different collections at different museums around the world. But I just kind of was hoping to be at least one of those pieces,
I'm glad you talked about that because I often wonder what the fascination with Frida is. Obviously she's got some great stuff, but she is like an icon, unreal icon. So I'm always kind of a little bit fascinated, like why people are so drawn to her. And so it was kind of nice to hear that.
Well, I think too, between her both their political stances or views, outlooks, whatever you want to call it, their own personal turmoils with each other, and then her turmoils with her life and the trolley wreck and all that kind of stuff. You put all that together, and it was the right period of time where she just exploded. The whole scene was exploding, right? And she was kind of at the crest of that wave, and he was as well.
Yeah.
I think it really lends to her becoming an icon, and her portraits are so brutally raw.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't sugarcoat or beautify or try to make light of anything. She paints everything just as twisted and ugly as she possibly can, and just puts out there for everybody to see. I don't know about you guys, but anything I've ever looked at by her, I've never gotten a sense that she was scared or worried about doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not self-conscious at all.
Right. And that in and of itself is something. Not just being able to do that, but not being self-conscious about it or presenting that in the work,
Yeah, that's interesting. I really appreciate you talking about that because, like I said, I've often wondered what the power that she has. And, she's an inspiration to a ton of people, and that's fantastic. So
you've also got to give her credit for being a woman in that time period and getting on top like that, and coming out and being so vocal about everything she believed in, whether you agree with it or not.
Right.
That was a whole different time period for women. I mean, that was brutal back then.
Right. Yeah.
Honestly, it still is, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Hey, anytime.
Opinions are always free, right?
That's right.
Get me talking about art.
I really enjoyed that show because there's a lot of photography that they incorporated. And so seeing some of those photographs up close and personal, I thought was spectacular. Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of Manuel Alvarez Bravo. And so, yeah, it was cool to just see his work face to face. And then, like you said, turned on to some of those other artists that were working during that time that I wasn't familiar with, or I hadn't seen any of their work. I was pretty blown away by some of that stuff. Yeah,
there was a couple that were just insane, really, really nice pieces. And it was cool too to see like her dresses and whatnot. But I really wanted to see her art, not her dresses.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they were elaborate and very colorful, and then seeing they had footage of her, some old film, and that was kind of cool to see because you always see like this portrait of her or whatever, but you never see her like in motion. So kind of seeing that was kind of fun as well.
Well, it was cool to see them together because a lot of times it's either Diego or Frida. Like, I mean, yes, they were together and married and all that, and contemporaries and all that stuff, but a lot of times you separate them into their own individual places. Yeah. So to see that footage with them together and those photos with them together, it was kind of cool too.
So talk about some of your other influences as an artist.
Oh, how much time you got?
Well, we got some time here, so let's talk about it a little bit.
Kidding. Well, the two biggest influences in my entire life on my artistic career would be the Fauvists and the American realists of the 60s and 70s. The Fauvists, just the just audacious use of color, and painting the sky bright orange, and then Van Gogh and Cezanne and Matisse all kind of went into their own respective fields after that. But those three, to me, that whole beginning of the Fauvist movement was just phenomenal, and it just the use of color just hit me right in the heart, And then getting into college and learning about Richard Estes and Chuck Close and all those guys coming off both the East and the West Coast, the realists, but especially the East Coast realists, and then you got like Diebenkorn with his whole Pacific Park series and abstracting landscapes that way. It was just, for some reason, the stuff that I think, and I didn't live through it, or I wasn't old enough at the time, the artists in the 60s and 70s that really hit me weren't the ones that people were focusing on, I don't think. You had Warhol, who was bigger than life. You had Dolly was still around, I think. I don't remember now. But he was with Disney, wasn't he? Isn't the 60s when Dolly did all that stuff with Disney?
Could be, yeah. No, I think you're right. I think it was the 60s.
Yeah, so you had some bigger than life people around still that were taking all the hogging the spotlight, right?
Yeah. And
then you had people like Close and Estes and Diebenkorn, these guys on different coasts that were just doing this phenomenal stuff that, and still to this day, I'll mention Richard Estes to somebody and they still don't know who the hell he is. And it blows my mind, but that's the art world too. I mean, there's just so many artists out there who are just so amazing at what they do that unless all you did was read about art, there's no way you could possibly know about all of them.
Right.
Right. And the other thing too, that I've learned as a gallerist, it never hit me as an artist, but in hindsight, I understand it. But as a gallerist, it really hit me. Artists really get kind of tunnel vision in what they do. So a lot of abstract painters only look at abstract artists and only actively seek out to further their own education in abstraction. Realists are the same way. Surrealists are the same way. Symbolists are the same way. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not always. I don't want to generalize and say that's the way it always is, but for the most part, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that at all. It's just you kind of. I'm guilty of it too. I get really focused on what I'm doing, and that's where I stay. And again, being chained to the gallery and the studio, that really hinders me from getting out and looking at other stuff too. And getting a broader spectrum of art.
Yeah.
If that made sense, I hope.
Yeah, no, it did. And that's what I've loved about doing these interviews with everybody like you is, man, I come away with a whole list of new names to look up and to research. And I love delving down these rabbit holes with, like I've never even heard the term Fauvist and Fauvism. Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, it wasn't something I took art history and it probably was like, poop right over my head. But,
it gets so overlooked because it's what gave birth to Impressionism. Impressionism is what blew up, right?
Right.
And the Fauvism was just so short-lived because Impressionism was so great and so big, Yeah. But and that's like I'm sure you guys have never heard of Feral Kid, but if you go look him up, you're going to be like, wow, that's insane. But again, that's not somebody like I just happened to stumble across him.
Yeah.
I don't even remember how. I just saw one of his drawings. And I was like, oh my God, there's just so much out there. And that's the other problem I got is there's so much out there. How do I get them all into the gallery? I can't.
Right. Yeah. So do you get very many people coming to your gallery and, pitching to come in to be shown? And
so that's probably the biggest way that I find artists is they come to me. Thank God. because like we were talking, I don't get to get out very much, you know? So it's really great. I get people all the time. And Dan and I were talking a couple of weeks ago because I had an artist email me. I'm assuming it's an artist. I didn't ask. I'm assuming it's an artist because they were on my mailing list. They got the newsletter for the gallery. And he emailed back and he said, please take me off your mailing list. I'm from New York and I came in your gallery a year or two ago and you kind of brushed me off and that was very stupid and arrogant on your part.
Wow.
And I told Dan that, and Dan was like, really? Because every artist I've ever seen you talk to, you tell them, email me your stuff. I'm the owner and the curator. I go through all of it. I keep it on file. Now, you know, I can't help it if somebody felt slighted by that, but that's how it has to work. I can't sit down and go through your portfolio with you in the middle of a show. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and you know, I literally go through every submission. I literally look at it, and I don't know any other gallerist that does that. And I keep them on file, and if they work, and I'll put them in the exhibition, but it might not be for 18 months that I get back to you.
Right.
So I don't know if maybe that artist felt like I didn't get back to them timely, or, you know, but it made me feel really bad about myself for like 2 weeks. I was like,
right.
Oh, I'm the worst person alive, you know, because I don't want anybody feeling like they're getting brushed off or pushed away or ignored. You know, that's not what my gallery is about. My gallery is about working with those unheard of people, those up and coming, those emerging people, you know, they're just getting their foot in the door.
So how do you know, and I'm sure it's intuitive, right? You know, you see somebody's art and like, if they just don't make the cut, they don't make the cut. Right. Or, you know, do you send them, do you give them encouragement to say, hey, if you look at, you know, work on this, or how do you do that when you're weeding some people out? Well,
honestly, so when somebody emails me, so anybody comes in and talks to me, I give them my card and I tell them, email me a link to your portfolio. I don't care if it's an Instagram account that's just your art. I don't care if it's a Dropbox folder. I don't care if it's your website, whatever it is, right? Email it to me. I'll keep it on file and I'll go through it when I'm putting together group exhibitions. And I explain to them that you're going to start out in a group exhibition, whether that's a 2-person or a 25-person group exhibition. That's how it starts out. And we progress from there. So what happens is they'll email me and I'll respond and say, thank you. I'll keep this on file and go through it when I'm putting together exhibitions. And that's pretty much where the communication stops until an exhibition comes up that I want to use them in. Just because there's so much going on, I can't stay in constant contact with everybody, you know? And that might be somewhere where people kind of get offended and think, oh, he just blew me off. Well, I'm not. I've warned everybody, you know, I tell them I'm generally booked out 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
So it's going to be at least that long before I even think about putting you in a show, you know? But you know, it's the only time that protocol changes is when they're just not there yet.
Yeah.
And I've had 8th graders send me pictures of their sketches, you know, wanting to show. And I will gladly exchange emails with them and try to put them on the right path and tell them this is fantastic. This needs some work. Come back, you know, do some more work and then come back to me. You know what I mean? Like try to cultivate that. And there's other people, well, they'll come back, they'll send me their stuff and I'll have to respond to them and be like, you know, I appreciate what you're doing. I see where you're trying to go with this. I think you're not quite ready yet. Maybe work on A, B, and C. But I've never just flat out ignored anybody.
Right.
Because that doesn't help anybody. You know, that part of my job as being a gallery owner is to help them get to a point where they can be in a gallery, whether it's mine or somebody else's. That's the whole point, isn't it? You know, like if I can do it and they will listen, I'm more than happy to talk to them. You know, some people just instantly, as soon as you say anything, they shut you out. You know what I mean? And that's when you just kind of stop and, okay, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not going to argue with you. You know, I'm just trying to help you. So, but it's also, it does kind of weigh on me too, that I can't get everybody in that I want to. There's just not enough hours and months and weeks, days. You know what I mean? Like, and I can't just do group show after group show after group show after group show either. You know, I've got to do some solo shows. I got to do some two people shows, some big invitationals, you know, all that kind of stuff. Because I've learned too that you've got to keep the public involved and engaged. And if you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, people start dropping off.
Yeah.
You know, so if anybody's listening, if you want to get in the gallery, please send me a link to your stuff. I will look at it. I promise.
And be patient.
That's right.
I don't think it gets any better than that, man. I mean, like you said, you take the time, but there's always going to be the people, like you said, that are just going to, tune you out as soon as you're not ready to like stop what you're doing and look at their portfolio. And that's a bad way to go about it anyway. And we've talked enough about this with different artists and gallery people that, you don't just show up unannounced at a gallery and expect somebody to be able to stop what they're doing and look at your work.
Well, and it's deceiving too. You can walk into my gallery, there can be nobody in there. You can walk in on a Tuesday afternoon. There's nobody in the gallery, and I'm sitting at the desk, and you can think, oh, he's got nothing going on here. I can talk to him about, I can get my portfolio out. We can spend an hour going through this. I can't take an hour out because the person right behind you might be somebody that wants to buy a painting. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to be. And again, this is why I've it took me a couple of years to get my whole spiel together, but I think I've got this nice soft pitch spiel together that says, I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm not trying to brush you off, but you've got to send it to me so I can look at it on my time, and then I'll get back to you, because I don't want to put anybody off. But, I also remember my days of walking into a gallery cold, but this was way before all the modern technology that we have nowadays, to where we had social media or Dropbox and all that kind of stuff, to where I could send them a link to a portfolio. I had to carry slides or prints or something, and it's just, I've been on that side of it, so I understand how hard and how, you get shot down enough times, and pretty soon you're just calloused and you just want to punch somebody in the throat, and you're like, God, I've had it with you people. So I understand that too, So I want people to feel like Bitfactory is a place they can come. And again, it may not be tomorrow, but at some point, if I get you to the show, I will,
Yeah. And you don't have an assistant, right? You're pretty much. No,
I don't.
You're running the show by yourself.
Yeah. And working on my own personal career as an artist, and working on my side hustle of building custom cars and hot rods, and, working on getting married, So, I mean, we all have life going on, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just me. And I would love to at some point be able to hire a gallery director. It'd be fantastic, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
And, I also really like what I'm doing and how I do it. So maybe I never will, I'm not a control freak, but I just like how I've got my thing, my little universe running right now.
Right.
It's very comfortable. And I know exactly what's going on at all times,
Yeah. And right now it's fairly manageable. So,
it is.
Why not? Don't try to fix something that ain't broke, right?
Right. And maybe at some point I'll have super high sales or something to where I have to bring somebody on. But right now it's very manageable where it's at.
So this transitions into my next question is, so what is your vision for Bitfactory? Do you set like 5-10 year goals, that sort of thing?
For the gallery I haven't, for the studios I have, but for the studios, it's more like I want to punch in more windows and more skylights, that kind of thing. For the gallery, beyond maybe getting more established artists like Feral Kid, like an international artist, maybe getting somebody like that in there. Mm-hmm. I really kind of like the way it's chugging along right now. And going back to what we were just talking about, I have a ton of untapped artists yet to get into a show. So I kind of like the course I'm on. I just kind of want to stay with it for a while. Now, in 5 years, that might change. I might want to do something else. And there's always the thought in the back of my head of expanding, whether that's sell this building and buy a bigger one or do a co-location. I don't know yet, but that is something that's just kind of always pinging around the back of my skull, and maybe Estes Park, maybe Trinidad, maybe a whole different state. I don't know. I think eventually 5-10 years, I would like a bigger gallery, maybe about 3,500 square foot.
Okay.
That's the only thing I don't like about my gallery. I mean, I love my gallery and I love the intimacy of it. And I do like that it's small, but I would like to be able to put more art in there, and I can't. There's just not the physical space,
I like what Space Gallery did, where he's got, these other satellite. Well, he's got a whole other gallery a building that he purchased that, shows
the annex,
and then he's got a satellite gallery down in Rhino. But
does he?
That's just that was actually given. That space was given to him to kind of highlight, certain artists every month or what have you.
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, I didn't either until we had that conversation with Michael. But But yeah, I think that's an interesting concept, and I could see why. But I love this. I love the space that you have there and the size of it. You know, it's
I
just
do too.
But maybe having a second gallery. I mean, the whole Trinidad thing, and we've talked about this, is, you know, they're trying to make they have a thriving art community down there, but they're trying to make downtown, you know, a destination place for art galleries and music venue for concerts and that whole thing down in Trinidad. So that might be an interesting concept, huh?
Yeah. It does intrigue me quite a bit. And, you know, I got kind of turned on to it because years ago, Cope moved down there, and he moved down there right when somebody bought an entire city block downtown and wanted to turn it into studios. And that's when they were trying to get this whole artist community destination thing going. And I was like, wow, that's a great idea. You know, and like I said, it's always kind of bounced around the back of my head, but at the same time, I can't be in two places at once. So, and I don't know that market. So whether I went to Estes or Trinidad, or let's say I put it somewhere in a gallery in Santa Fe or something, I don't know those markets myself. I don't know if what I do here is going to work there. It's a business model, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I wouldn't want to. I'd want to do just a gallery. I wouldn't want to do studios with it. I don't think.
No studios. Okay.
Half the time I'm like no, and half the time I'm like hell yeah. Why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? So I don't know if there's a market for it. First of all, second of all, do I want to have to worry about two separate businesses at the same time? You know, the studios and the gallery at a co-location somewhere. It's, you know, it's a lot to think about. To me, it's kind of the logical step would be another location, right? You grow your business, you expand. Well, in my business, expanding means another building, another gallery, right? So I'm pretty sure at some point I'm going to, or maybe I'll figure out some way to franchise it across the country. You know, I don't know. That'd be kind of cool. Bitfactories everywhere.
Hey, I love the name. I love the name Bitfactory. Where did you get that name? How'd you come up with that name?
So that kind of comes out of in between the music career and go back to art full time. I got into IT, and I was doing. I had a little recording studio in my basement, but it was all in the box because it was all techno house music, and a bit's the smallest chunk of data on a computer. So, and to me, everything is a bit. You know, whether it's a painting or a word or a song or a note. You know, so. It kind of made sense that I was manufacturing these bits in my recording studio. So I needed a bit factory, and I just carried that over to the art gallery.
Yeah, I like it.
So it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek play on words about, things out in the collective that we all experience.
Yeah.
That's a really bad way to say that, but I think you get what I'm saying. I'm terrible at these things. God.
There's a great thriving art community here, and for sure in the Denver area, but it seems to be statewide. Do you feel like we're finally kind of coming into our own as far as an art destination? And we have all these incredible museums. We have all these great galleries. The art district on Santa Fe, where you're located, is thriving. And then there's the other ones throughout the city that we have. How do you feel about that?
I think we've talked about this a couple times, haven't we? Like
Probably.
Outside of the podcast. But I think definitely. I think it's actually been a destination for quite a while. It just never got covered as that, or the press never recognized it that way. If that makes sense. But I think I've told you this before too. I read some article recently in the last few months that said our attendance rate to art functions is higher than anywhere else in the country here in Denver.
Nice.
Which and like it's 70 or 75% attendance rate or something, just something ridiculous compared to I think it was the other three places that compared to were LA, New York, and Santa Fe. And at best, they were like at 30 or 35% attendance rates or something like that. Which I can't tell you what they based that metric on or anything, but I can't even tell you where the hell I read that. But anyway, I think Denver Colorado as a whole is just fantastic for the arts. And I think it has been my entire life. It's just with the masses of people that have been moving here in the last couple of decades, it's started to become recognized that way. And I think, and I told you this, when we were talking at the gallery one time, about how Denver was always supposed to be the next LA musically. You know, it was always supposed to blow up at some point. It would have a band get signed, and all of a sudden it would go dead for 5 years. Then another band would get signed and go big, and go, you know, Denver drop off the map again for 5 years. In the art, to me, the visual art aspect of that has just continually been on an uphill climb. You know what I mean? Like a trajectory, not climb, but uphill trajectory. And we've just with the foot traffic alone on First Fridays in my art district. And then we've got Rhino Art District, which is extremely popular. We've got 40 West coming up. We've got Tennyson. Aurora's been trying to make an art district going on for a couple of years now. I mean, they're all sustainable. Like none of these art districts pop up and die because of loss of foot traffic or sales. You know what I mean? Everybody's supported. And like Trinidad's becoming a spot. Estes Park is a spot. We're trying to get Gilpin County going up in Central City. You know, it's been a spot for a few years now. It's got a fantastic gallery. It's just, what is it, Elizabeth or something is becoming a huge artist haven now or something like that.
I could see as you go further out east, you know, where property's a little bit more affordable.
Reasonable?
Yeah, reasonable. Because I love it out there. The Kiowa, Elizabeth area, that area is out there is beautiful.
Yeah,
and then Pueblo is a thriving.
Yeah, it's blown up.
Thriving
really
area,
down there.
thriving city of the arts. They have a really strong collective of artists down there. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on here in Colorado.
So yeah, I think Colorado's fantastic, and we've also got. It's not just that we have all these great galleries and studios and all that kind of stuff and retail that goes along with the art. We also have all this inspiration around us constantly, nonstop. Between the city life, the country life, the mountains, the people, you know what I mean? Like 5 minutes from my house, I get up far enough in the mountains to where I can draw you a beautiful landscape with no buildings, no people, nothing. And then 5 minutes the other way, and I can draw you this really great urban scene, you know? Or if I go 30 minutes east of here, I could give you a great shot of the plains, you know?
Yeah.
And then there's always the people watching.
Yeah. Good people watching, that's for sure.
Oh, great.
The only thing we don't have is the ocean and, you know, buy a ticket.
Water in general.
Yeah. Water in general, possibly.
We have reservoirs. We don't have lakes, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Or big rivers like they do back
then. Yeah. The river situation here is pretty sad. Well, great for tubing and getting drunk, though.
Yeah, true. If you like to tube and you like to drink, we got craft beer and we got rivers you can tube on.
Literally 3 inches of water, just float through it.
Todd, I think you should reach out to the tourism department and see if we can get a sponsorship as much as you're pushing the Denver art scene.
Well, I think it's, you know, there's some exciting stuff going on. And, you know, in doing this podcast, you know, we've talked to people from all over the place, whether it's on the podcast or, you know, just in, you know, getting out and about and talking with artists or gallerists. And it's pretty inspirational to think of what is truly going on in here. I mean, I haven't been down to Trinidad to check that out, but I'm jonesing to go south and do a road trip and see what all they have going on down there. Have you talked
I'd love to get down to Pueblo for a couple of days and go down to Trinidad for a couple of days too.
Well, maybe we need to road trip, dude.
Yeah. I'd totally be down for that. Just have to be on a couple of days off that I have at the gallery.
So I have to like pencil you in somewhere like 18 months from now? Works the same way as if you're going to try to get into the gallery?
Yeah, pretty much. No. we just have to do it on one of the off weeks when I'm hanging the new exhibition. So
there you go.
Town.
Okay. Do you ever use the interns? Do you have people?
I haven't. A good friend of mine who started the gallery and then he's an architect who started the gallery and then moved on to some other stuff, was using interns from Rocky Mountain and told me about it. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. And then I never followed up on it. Again, just because I don't really know if I need them right now. Yeah. You know, I mean, it'd be cool to if somebody's really interested in learning about how the gallery runs and how to curate and all that kind of stuff, that'd be cool as hell. But
you could utilize them in some way.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if I could keep them busy.
Yeah.
Besides sitting in the gallery all day by themselves, wait for people to come in, you know?
Yeah. And I'm a big advocate for interns, but it has to be of value for the intern.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That's the thing. I've seen some bullshit internships.
They got to learn something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point of it is to an educational process.
Yeah.
Well, sitting in my gallery for somebody to come through that front door is not educational in any shape or form. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If now sitting down and help and teach them how to run the books and how to book a show and how to contact artists and how to curate the show and all that kind of stuff, that'd be great.
Social media.
Yeah. Well, that's a huge chunk of my day.
Yeah. You've done a lot for this AL Lummus show. You're on there nonstop, and good for you. Cause that.
Well, I went viral 2 months ago. I got 1 million hits on Google.
Did you really?
Yeah. Well, just under 1 million. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Google for some reason is just taken off for me. I'm averaging in like 65,000 hits a month now.
Wow.
Yeah. And like at least 100, if not to 300,000 views of my images that I post on Google. But you know how you can, do you guys have a Google business account? Either of you?
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can upload images, you can upload product, you do all that kind of stuff. And I treat it just like social media. So every time I post on social media, I'm posting on Google.
Mm.
And for whatever reason, I'm just getting a ton of traffic off of that.
So does it automatically go from your social media to Google, or do you have to do that separately?
No, you use the Google app.
Okay.
The business app.
Okay.
But so, so I use something called Crowdfire, which lets me schedule my social media posts. So it hits the major ones for me. So I don't have to go into each of those individually, but then I go into Google and Yelp and one other one and post those manually and just treat them like a social media account.
So the Google thing is really blown up for you.
Yeah,
that's really interesting that you're the first person we've talked to, I think, that is that's utilizing it that way.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of made sense. You know what I mean? Like it's just free advertisement, just like that. And that's how I treat social media.
Well, and Google's king, so it makes absolute sense. But yeah, interesting.
Like, so it shows you like, it'll show you like how many. So let's say I have 20,000 images posted. It'll show me how many images I've posted for a time frame, and it'll show me how many images other galleries in Denver have posted, and they're always like at like 5 or 6, and I'm always at like 10,000. And that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. Like it's a huge gap because I think it's a totally unutilized tool, or people don't realize it's there. I don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that time. Like right now I've got 175,000 views on Google, which just blows me away. I mean, like, why would I have that many? I'm a little tiny gallery in Denver, But that day I opened up the app and it for a 30-day span, I was at almost 1 million hits on my stuff. I was just like, wow, that's insane.
Yeah, that's impressive.
I don't do I do ads here in Denver, but I don't do statewide or national ads or anything. So you would 10,000 hits, maybe 20, but it was just under 900,000 hits in a 30-day period, which hell, man, if that gets me traffic, cool. I'm good with it,
Right.
Which hopefully translates to sales.
So every one of these episodes, I feel like there's a little bit of, there's always multiple things you can get from each one of these, talking to different people. There's the nugget for today, folks. Utilize your Google business account and start posting pictures of your stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And it'll drive traffic to your website, to your shop. It'll drive traffic everywhere.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Oh, man. Well, you know what? This has been really fun to catch up and talk about what's been going on, because we don't always, even in the gallery when I see you, we don't always get to talk about what's been going on, for the past year. So having to sit down and just kind of focus for a little bit on what's been going on at the gallery has been really fun to learn what has happened and what is going to be happening here in the foreseeable future. Is there anything else that you want to talk about or promote?
Really, just I really like people to come down and celebrate my 6-year anniversary with me here at the gallery next month.
Yeah.
This month, sorry. Exhibition opens the 16th at 6 p.m. and runs until the second Thursday of May. And I'm open Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 3.
Awesome. And we'll have all that information in the episode notes for this week. And you can always go to Bitfactory's website, which Wes mentioned at the very beginning of this podcast. It's bitfactory.net. And to check out Bill's work, you can go to wmaxthomason.com. That's WMAXTHOMASON.com. and he's got just phenomenal work. So go show him some love.
Oh, thanks.
Come down, check out the next First Friday, the opening of Bill's solo show, celebrating his 6-year anniversary at Bitfactory. And Wes, you have anything else for this week?
Yeah, for sure. I'm planning on making it down to Denver the end of when is that? The 20. I should have my calendar up. I'll be down there. Speaking of that, huh?
Right.
Let me see. Let me look at my calendar.
23rd.
So I'll be heading down to Denver the 23rd of this month, and I plan on trying to swing in and seeing you. Hopefully you'll be around on the 24th on that Saturday. We'll swing by Bitfactory, and awesome. We'll check your show out. I'm excited.
Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been
you're
a blast.
Welcome anytime, man.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed seeing you, and like I said, you've been a huge supporter of this podcast, and I appreciate all the stuff that you've done for us. So
we do.
Hell yeah.
So and happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Yes. Welcome to Club 50.
Congratulations for your engagement to your fiance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That happened this year during the pandemic.
It did last October.
Nice.
And then congratulations on 6 years of being in business, man.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Love the podcast. I'm a few episodes behind right now, but I'll get caught up.
Great. Well, we're glad you're listening. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's my favorite podcast right now.
Love it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
It.
Yeah, you're even beating out the car podcast that I listen to. So that's a big thing.
Oh my gosh.
That is a big thing.
We better step up our game, Wes.
That's right.
Well, thanks again. And for the Tenant Podcast, I'm Todd Pearson.
And I'm Wes Brown.
Have a great week.